I was never really a runner. The way I see running is a gift, especially when you have stage 4 cancer. I'm Anne. I'm running the Boston Marathon, presented by Bank of America. I run for Dana-Farber Cancer Institute to give people like me a chance to thrive in life, even with cancer.
Join Bank of America in helping Anne's cause. Give if you can at BofA.com/supportAnne. What would you like the power to do? References to charitable organizations is not an endorsement by Bank of America Corporation. Copyright 2025.
Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like, to check the Jumbotron first, before attempting to eat a stack of Supreme nachos in one bite. Now you're just a meme that everyone shares on game day. Checking first is smart, so check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate. Savings vary, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Achtung Millwall podcast supports the Lions Food Hub, dear listeners, and you can do too by getting yourself an Achtung Millwall t-shirt from noonelikes.co.uk, also known as Nolu Clothing. They've got a wonderful Achtung Millwall t-shirt on there for £15. At least £8 of each sale goes to support the Lions Food Hub, which does fantastic work for families in and around the South East 16 area. Show your allegiances on the podcast front, dear listeners, by getting yourself an Achtung Millwall t-shirt, and by doing that, you'll support the wonderful, the brilliant Lions Food Hub. Noonelikes.co.uk, Achtung Millwall t-shirt, £15. Check it out.
You're listening to Achtung Millwall, broadcasting from the beautiful South Birmingham. Accept no substitute.
That's the frustrating part from this evening, because what we're hoping to do, stay in the game once we concede that early goal as long as we can, and can we get an opportunity or two late in the match and go and try and force the issue. But unfortunately that wasn't to be the case. But yeah, so Saturday's obviously an important one for us now. We need to go and rally and try and get 3 points.
Hello dear listeners, welcome to part 2 of our coverage of Leeds 2, Millwall 0 last night. That was of course the voice of Alex Neil, gaffer, manager, whatever you want to call him. A lot of people commenting. I'm just looking at a tweet here by James S on X. Big shout out to James. He says some of the meltdowns of our fans rather for getting beaten at Leeds, who are basically a Premier League squad. Get a grip of yourselves. We haven't played well tonight, but Jesus Christ, look at Leeds' home record. I agree with James. As I've said in the previous show, I'd also say to any fans disappointed with last night's showing, do have a look at the injury track record for the Lions this season. That is a separate subject, whether we should have so many injuries or not, but have them we do. We're missing probably about a third of our senior squad at the moment. So to go to a place like Ellen Road, I think probably the tactics, as Alex Neil has just laid out in that little snip, they write themselves in many respects, listeners, which is keep it tight. I mean, going a goal down early to bad luck was not very fortunate, of course, and didn't exactly help our cause. But I thought we contained Leeds quite well overall, and I know that mightn't be a popular opinion, given that we finished up losing 2-0 and whatever glimmering hopes of playoff football might have remained probably took a bad knock. They're not quite extinct yet, but they're not looking very well, let's put it that way. So it might be a strange thing to say in those circumstances, but I'm of the view that we've contained now a top of the table side there, one that's surely destined for Premier League football next season. How they'll do in the Premier League is quite another subject, and I don't particularly want to get into that here. But overall, from the Millwall perspective, given all of the pitfalls, the handicaps that we're working with at the moment, I thought it was a pretty good performance. Anyway, that's my view on it, dear listeners. So welcome to part 2 of our coverage. This is a voicemail edition, and we've got a small selection of voicemails from our usual correspondence. Big thank you to everyone that sent stuff in. Also, I want to give a big mention to the 391 that went up there to Leeds last night. So I had the piss taken out of them by the Leeds admin, which I picture being someone aged about 18 that follows a lot of TikTok, or maybe even possibly the kind of person that went to that Sidemen football match at Wembley, or watches the Sky TV Bants podcast that they're producing there with Gary Neville and Jamie Redknapp and Sam Herbert off of YouTube. That's the kind of person I think that we're talking about, listeners, so make your judgments from there. But for a dead rubber midweek trip up north in a game where we're probably going to get beaten, reality check, I think that's a pretty decent showing. Some hardcore fans have done that, so I want to take my hat off to them for making the journey up there. So anyway, let's go over to our first voicemail. It's going to be from Rob Woodford. Let's have a listen to Rob.
Well, that was such an unfortunate goal to concede, after starting so well. And the first half performance was no disgrace against a team who, let's be honest, will probably be in the Premier League next season. I thought Kundal worked hard and showed some nice touches. And co-commentator, Mr. Gibson, he said he was a loanee, but he's not, is he? I mean, in fact, unlike previous seasons, we don't have a team packed with loanees following the January transfer deadline, do we? And last night, only subs Coburn and Connolly have been loaned from other clubs. The funky Gibbo Gibbon did get one thing right, though, Nick, didn't he? This is our 8th consecutive season in the second tier. So he did his homework on that one at least, or someone else did for him. And by the way, that's quite an achievement, as only once since arriving at this level in 1928 have we had 9 consecutive seasons, and that will be equalled next season. Bringing on Nimaku for CDN was a positive move for the final half hour, but by then we were chasing shadows, and if the score had remained 1-0, I think it would have flattered us slightly. But for whatever reason, we made Daniel Farquhar look a miserable Farquhar for periods of the second half. But I'm encouraged for next season. We've got a lot of work to do to get a top half finish this season. And let's be honest, those 2 away wins at Derby and Watford gave us much needed 6 points, especially now as teams at the bottom are picking up points. Can we get a top half finish? 3 points against Stoke City would help. That would be a massive result. Keep it on the island, Wall.
Fantastic stuff by Rob there. It's interesting, the Kundal question I've written as you've been speaking there, Rob. Interesting to hear praise for Kundal. I didn't think he had a great game. He hasn't had a great amount of influence for me in the last few games, but I don't claim to be any kind of football savant, listeners. People see the game different ways. He may be making contributions in ways that are beyond my abilities to detect. When he first appeared for us, Kundal, I thought he was a very, really, really attractive, talented player, but he's just not shown it much in recent games for me. But as I say, I'll put the caveat in that I may not know what I'm talking about. I do agree it was no disgrace last night, Rob. I thought we're always going to be up against it, and anyone seriously thinking we're going to win the 8 out of 10 games probably we'd need to get into the top 6 probably needs to check into rehab, because I think that all season we've struggled to get goals and we've scratched out wins, such as at Watford on Saturday. It was a good second half performance after a poor start. We've got to try and eliminate the inconsistencies in our game. I'm sure that come the summertime, once we've had the chance for those that are now at the end of their contractual periods to be moved on, those that don't quite fit in with the general ideas and approach of Alex Neil, which is a good one for me. I've liked what I've seen from Alex Neil, with obviously the odd blip here and there, but it's a period of transition, as they say in the world of management change. Period of transition, which is always difficult. It's one of those things they put on bullet points in work presentations, listeners. So you're going to have to expect 1 or 2 blip results. You have to expect 1 or 2 smash and grab raids like we had at Vicarage Road on the Saturday. Game against Stoke on Saturday morning, 12:30 kickoff. I shall be there, dear listeners. Yeah, I mean, I think 3 more points would certainly mean we can start to think about a top half finish, which is no mean achievement, as Rob has said. And as he's rightly pointed out, 8 years in the Championship, 8 seasons in the Championship, I should say, hasn't been done since the 60s. I think it would be the Benny Fenton side that Rob's hinting at there, that were in the second tier for that length of time before relegation in the 70s. So in Millwall historical terms, that's pretty good. Of course, the kids now don't know anything before 1992, do they, dear listeners? So, I'm sure that's not seen as quite the achievement that old soaks like Rob and I might make it to be. But good stuff there from Rob. I do appreciate your call. Rob, keep them coming, listeners. Do send me your voice notes. They mean that I can produce a show like this, which I hope you enjoy listening to. I enjoy making them, which is my personal marker. And it means we get a lot of different range of voices, which I really like. Speaking of which, we're going to have Bobby T now. Let's have a listen to Bob.
Nick Hart, Bobby T, live from Chelsea at my mum's house. Didn't go. Poor souls who went. 391 fans. And they hit us cold. We start early and they hit us on like 2 minutes. I'm not going to blame Jensen. I'm not fuming. The games we should have won is against Bristol City, Hull, Oxford at home. These are the games. Like today, you can't win them all. Nick Hart, Bobby T, Achtung, millwall, Cooper. How many more times I'm going to say? Honeypoo, no disrespect. Thank you, you got injured. But hey, that'd be good, Honeypoo. But listen, Cooper, NBA basketball, he saved us a few. As soon as he gets out of this team for next season, let's get Crammer in defence with Tatanga. West Island, Leeds, they wanted it more. We lost. I don't really care. On to Stoke now. Season mid-table. We love Millwall. Bye for now, Bobby T. Nick Hart, Bobby T. Millwall. One more thing. Saville, Billy Mitchell, one of our own. Saville, too old. They are not Championship players anymore. They are too old and sideways and all that. And we need a new midfield next season. Dead wood. I don't care what you say. Casper, yeah, not bad. Kelly's too young, injured prone. Kundle's not a midfielder. What does he fucking do? We need a clear out in the summer. Our midfield is aging. Nick Hart, obviously, one more thing. How many times do we give possession away? Need to learn, right? Leeds United, you ain't going nowhere. You'll be back straight down next season. We need to get to next season and have a clear out, a new idea. Alex Neil, start changing that team. Bobby T signing off. On to Stoke. Nick Hart, Bobby T here. No, it's really late, but I want to end it on Leeds. We're there for the taking tonight, and we didn't turn up. Just like Bristol City, bipolar Millwall, Watford away. Leeds, we gave them too much respect. Not a shot on target. Quite disappointed, if you ask me. But I want to end it by saying that Millwall can shot the world. Now we've got 9 to go. Nick Hart, 9 to go, Bobby T, 9 to go. And 4 away games, which are Burnley, Blackburn, Sheffield United and Sunderland. Top 4 big boys. And Noah Millwall will probably go over there and win all the away games and sneak into the playoffs. That's what I'm seeing. We've got 5 at home starting this Saturday before international break. Stoke, Middlesbrough, Norwich, Swansea and Portsmouth. Got to win our home games. And we've got to build for next season. August can't come quick enough. Summertime. But anyway, 9 games to go. People say playoffs is out. Mid-table. That's why we love Millwall. Achtung, Bobby T signing off. Millwall still in the hunt. Don't give up yet. Bye for now. Good night. Bobby T. Bye for now, Millwall.
That's the sound of Bobby T, listeners. I think the honey poo puts me in mind of someone that might be at the Great Gatsby's party, drinking champagne and cocaine and all that kind of thing. I like that sound. Honey poo. Certain kind of 1930s flapper quality to it. 9 to go. I think the season has been one of turmoil. We've started off with the whole Neil Harris saga, the soap opera of the conflict with Steve Gallen. Resolved in the end when Neil Harris left us, and I think probably that was the only conclusion that was ever going to work out, because the direction of the club, which is as a buyer and developer of talent, whatever you might say about some of the individual deals that have been made, we have really a lot of signings have yet to really show themselves, listeners. But it's been a tumultuous season, so I think to finish mid-table is no bad achievement. Top 6, let's just float that idea. You've got 9 games to go. We're probably going to need 7-8 wins out of those 9. So we need a massive run. That's going to allow us to lose at Sunderland or possibly Burnley on the last day. Otherwise, we must win, baby, win. I can't see it. The goal scoring that we have is okay. Well, we've kept it so tight. We've kept a clean sheet. We couldn't do that last night for a combination of bad luck reasons and just a good goal. I mean, their second goal I thought was a really terrific strike, the kind of finish that we would love to have. But then they've spent fortunes on their side, as the two stooges commentating on the game last night kept going on about the magnificence, the glittering jewel that is Leeds United. They've spent a lot more money than we could ever imagine. I thought overall it was a decent performance, but I don't think that you can really criticise the performance. It was always going to be about keeping them at bay, as Alex Neil said at the start of this edition. Keep them at bay and hope to hit them from dead balls on the break, anything of that kind. That just didn't happen last night. But they're a decent side. I think where Bob's right is that we should have picked up points, such as Bristol City and some of the other games that have got away from us during the course of this season. But I don't agree that they were there for the taking, Bob. I think that we were always going to have to soak up a lot of pressure, which is what happened, the way it worked out. Big thank you, Bobby T. Really appreciate it, mate. Let's go up to the advertising break now with Bill Slack.
Hello, Nick. It's Bill Slack. That was pretty shit, wasn't it? I've got to say, first things first, the 391 Millwall supporters that went up there, fair play to you. I think the result was almost inevitable tonight. But yeah, on a Wednesday night after, you all probably did the away as well because you're all nutcases in the cup. I did the away in the cup, and that was a fantastic day, but there's no way I could find the motivation on a Wednesday night to go up there and go again. Pretty much sure that we were going to get beat, so fair play to all of you. I think if you look back at the last 2 games, that's 3 halves of football where we've been absolutely dreadful, created absolutely nothing. We had the really weird freak comeback in the second half against Watford, but apart from that, 3 halves of football out of 4, we've been absolutely dreadful. My summary of the Watford game that I was going to do at half time, if that makes sense, would have been my summary of the game today, and that was there are no goals whatsoever in that midfield. Saville, Denore, Honeyman starting tonight was absolutely baffling. Then Billy comes on, and Billy did what Billy does. He had quite a good game for Bill. Got around the park, energy, all the rest of it. Cundle, we have to talk about. Cundle's form is absolutely terrible, and he's shown next to nothing since he's been here. I was quite excited after his first couple of games. He got the ball, he released it, he looked for forward passes. Just seems to have been dragged into being a really ineffective midfielder, which is we're absolutely jam-packed full of them. I think that if you listen to Alex Neil's comments, I think after the Watford game, he talks about having an outlet. Now, what he means by that is having a creative player wide. So if we get the ball to them, they'll maybe create something, and sometimes it works. But what we had against Watford and what we had against Leeds tonight is one outlet. So Femi Aziz was pretty much the only effective attacking player on the pitch for us. So everybody else runs round, breaks up play, doesn't particularly pass very well, has got no scoring threat whatsoever, and we've got one attacking outlet on the pitch, and a poor fucker running around up front, whether that be Coburn or Ivanovic, not even feeding off scraps. We didn't even give them scraps. And it's not enough. It's not enough of an attacking threat. You know, we've gone out and bought all these players, and we'll have one, and if we're really lucky, 2 players who can do absolutely anything going forward, and that's Imarku or Aziz, and maybe Connolly, who seems to have fallen out of favour. So Honeyman comes off, Mitchell comes on, and I was hoping that Bangura Williams might come on, just because he seems to be able to find a bit of space and do something with the ball and find a player and looks to play forward. But none of them players look to play forward. You know, all we did tonight was just almost sit back and accept our fate. You know, what we're trying to do, we're trying to catch them on the break with Femi Aziz on the pitch, because nobody else can break forward. And you're not going to win games of football like that. You know, I said right at the start that the result was almost inevitable, and it was. There was no way we were going to beat Leeds tonight, but I feel like we haven't even tried with that selection. George Honeyman starting, he's not even a half-decent defensive midfielder. He doesn't bring anything to the team. Saville runs around and he'll break up play and he'll carry the ball for a little bit. Wes Harding should never have come off for Crammer. It was just a shit show from start to finish, and I don't mind going to Leeds and losing if we've give it a go, but I feel like 1, we didn't give it a go, and 2, we have a really worrying lack of attacking threat in that side. Aziz, Connolly, Imarku, Bangura Williams, but he'll only play one of them. So we'll have 8 defensive players. We'll have a keeper. We'll have a geezer running around up top on his own, and maybe a bloke will do some magic like Imarku did in the second half of Watford. Doesn't seem like a great game plan for winning games of football. It worries me. As for the goal, it wasn't a Cooper own goal, it was Jensen own goal. And you can make a case for the fact that it might have been a bit of a freak goal. I mean, the person really at fault was Denore for losing the ball like he did in midfield. But he gets back and makes the tackle. The bloke just hits an hopeful cross. It skids off Cooper's shin or foot. And Jensen's already going for the ball where the ball was going. But that being said, if my under-16s team conceded that goal on a Sunday, I would give them a right bollocking. Let's just say that the ball should not go in the net from where it was. And I think this is right. We scored 5 own goals in 14 games. I think that's right, in the last 14 games. So that tells me that we're really not good running back towards our own goal. You know, that statistic is it should tell us something, shouldn't it? But let's get to the end of the season, eh? Let's have a nice summer off. That's what I'm looking forward to, mate. I'll speak to you all soon. Cheers. Well done, the 391.
This is a message from sponsor Intuit TurboTax. Taxes was getting frustrated by your forms. Now, Taxes is uploading your forms with a snap, and a TurboTax expert will do your taxes for you. One who's backed by the latest tech, which cross-checks millions of data points for absolute accuracy, all of which makes it easy for you to get the most money back, guaranteed. Get an expert now at TurboTax.com. Only available with TurboTax Live Full Service. See guaranteed details at TurboTax.com/guarantees.
Hi, this is Javon, your Blinds.com design consultant.
Oh, wow. A real person.
Yep. I'm here to help with everything from selecting the perfect window treatments to...
Well, I've got a complicated project.
No problem. I can even help schedule a professional measure and install. We can also send you samples fast and free.
I just might have to do more.
Whatever you need.
So the first room we're looking at is for...
Shop Blinds.com now and save up to 45% site-wide. Blinds.com. Rules and restrictions may apply.
Look around. You can find cars like these on AutoTrader, like that car riding your tail. Or if you're tailgating right now, all those cars doubling as kitchens and living rooms are on AutoTrader too. Are you working out and listening to this ad at the same time? Well, multitasking pro, cars like the ones in the gym parking lot are for sale on AutoTrader. New cars, used cars, electric cars, maybe even flying cars. Okay, no flying cars, but as soon as they get invented, they'll be on AutoTrader. Just you wait. AutoTrader.
Achtung, Millwall.
Excellent stuff, Bill. I want to second your praise of the 391 that went up there on a very tough night in a game where, few of us were going to be expecting much. To still make that journey up there, I think is magnificent. As far as the football is concerned, I know it's lack of consistency. The dreadful half and then the half decent half. Is it speaking volumes about the squad, most of whom will, maybe a fair slice of the senior players, Bill, maybe are well aware they don't and won't feature in Alex Neil's plans next season, maybe, I don't know. Cundall, I've mentioned already. It's interesting how some people see him, and I must admit he's not impressed me in the last few games. Whether he will impress with other players in a more expansive approach designed to bring him into play, I don't know. We'll wait to see on that. You're right, certainly there is no goals from the likes of Billy Mitchell, and I don't know how many Jules Saville scored this season. Not many. I don't think he has scored for us in the past. Billy, I can remember getting one a few years ago, but he doesn't get many. That's not to knock him. His job is that of a water carrier, and that's his prime role. He does that quite well, but don't produce much in the way of compulsive, exciting football, dear listeners. Talking of that, Femi Aziz last night was certainly the only outlet. There was no place for Reece Bangura Williams on the bench. Whether we're going to see Reece and some of the other more creative players that are featuring in and around the squad, I don't know. Connolly, interesting player. Every time I've seen him, I've quite liked him, but he's not featuring. He's not starting at the moment. What lies behind that, I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and speculate on the boy because everyone's going to be doing that out there anyway, but clearly something is making him be benched rather than started, and I don't know. I've always liked him whenever I've seen him. He looks intelligent, skillful, but obviously he's got a head that needs to be sorted out there possibly. I don't know how that's going. I wish him well, listeners, because it's easy to take the piss in these situations, but I do wish him well. It's going to be interesting to see what selection we get on Saturday and how we approach that game against Stoke. If the season is going to retain even the faintest flicker of hope, and the heart monitor has probably got just about beeping at the moment for the Millwall season, then we've got to beat Stoke Saturday. So it's going to be interesting to see if we start Coburn Saturday with a more brief to be more physical than Ivanovic up front is. Interesting to see if Connolly gets a start, I don't know, and Reece and so on. Certainly we need a win if we're going to keep things going and alive. Thing that occurred to me listening to Bill's message with the likes of Cundall being chosen, even Jensen, although with no other choice really now with Jensen in goal, Ivanovic up front, is how much of the team selection is Alex Neil's choices and how much is pressure from the Director of Football, Steve Gallen, as a means of developing talent. I'm sure the club would say back, or the personalities involved would say that one doesn't necessarily exclude the other. You can bring on talent and play players that you've spent money on. So we've spent a couple of million, I think it was, for Ivanovic. So we want to see him played, which was Neil Harris's downfall, shall we call it that, or the source of much heat and angst between him and Gallen. But sometimes it can make you choose players that aren't in form, but you've got to kind of go with a choice because, and even looking at Kramer coming in last night for Harding. Harding never being in favour, don't get that. He wasn't doing too badly last night, so why was he replaced? Don't know. And the fact that his own goals are doing so well for him, that scoring chart. 5 from 40. I don't know that statistic, Bill, but I won't argue with it, mate. It seems that way. Whether it is actually number-wise that. So I don't know. Transitions mean that you have difficult, bumpy moments. And the investment policy, that this idea of being a developer of talent, means that sometimes you might have to make selection choices that aren't necessarily what you might take in a cold light of day. I don't know, but certainly last night we didn't deserve anything from the game. We didn't have many shots, if any shots. I remember one in the opening minute. I think it was a header from Jake Cooper, and one generously I think I put down a looping kind of header at the end of the half. But apart from that, it really wasn't much. So we're not going to win many games that way, and middle for diddle in the table is about where we should be. But if we can get a madcap run going with 8 wins out of 9 that remain, then yeah, I'll take it for sure. Big thank you, Bill. Really appreciate your messages. Appreciate everybody's messages, listeners. Keep them coming, especially after Saturday. Let's see where we stand on Saturday. Last voicemail for this short edition is going to come now from Glyn Horner. Take it away, Glyn.
Hello, Nick. Glyn here. So calling after the Leeds game. I was there in person, so that was nice to be back in on the road as an away fan. Yeah, I think interesting game, because we didn't at all at any point look like we were being overwhelmed by Leeds, who are top of the table team. At the half-time whistle, really, I mean, apart from that unfortunate goal, really we'd held our own, and I think with a little bit more clinicalness, a little bit more aggression up front, we could well have been on level terms. Yeah, I mean, okay, just to focus on the positives first of all, I think obviously losing Honeyman was a shame, but when Billy Mitchell came on, slotted into that defensive pairing, allowed Denor to move up to that sort of supporting the striker role. Billy Mitchell done really well. His passing was excellent. He was very good at the back. He provided a really good defensive screen for the defence, but also got involved in some forward play as well. So I think Billy Mitchell really did himself proud there. I think Wes Harding looked good all game, really. I mean, he maybe if he lacks anything is a little bit more directness in crossing the ball into the box, and I'm wondering if that was what was in Alex Neil's mind when he replaced him with Cranmer, because Cranmer does seem to be a little bit more willing to put the ball into the box. And I think Aziz was a constant threat throughout the game. And really, was unfortunate to come off, but maybe there was, I think he might have had a niggle when he came off, so, maybe it was good just to protect him. Tanganga and Cooper look very good in defence. They know each other very well. They played really well. I think there is growing confidence in the keeper, but I still think you get the feeling that they don't quite trust him yet. And Tanganga and Jensen do tend to have quite a lot of conversations together during the game. And be interesting to know what they're saying to each other. I think Joe Bryan put in a workmanlike performance. He battled. He had a tough job last night, but didn't let himself down, but really wasn't sort of the flair games that we've seen him have in recent weeks. But he didn't do anything wrong, really. Now to the areas where I think we really looked a bit below par. I'm sorry to say that Kundal and Ivanovic were passengers throughout the entire game. On numerous occasions, someone like Aziz or Harding would have the ball in a wide area and would be looking up to make a cross, and there'd be no one in the middle of the box. And you've got to say, Ivanovic really should be there. He always seemed to be about 5 yards behind the position where he should be. And he just wasn't reading the game. There were opportunities for him to get forward where he just didn't react early enough, and the opportunities were wasted. And Kundal fought hard and tried. I don't think there's any lack of effort there, but just was ineffective really on the time he was on the pitch, in my opinion. And you noticed the difference when Connolly came on, because Connolly was an immediate impact on the game, and his busyness, his ability to hold the ball and create attacking moves going forward is interesting. I do think, generally speaking, Alex Neil is experimenting with lineups and tactics and different formations and players in different roles. And there was an element of that. I'm sure these changes that we're seeing in the starting lineups, it's all deliberate. He's really building for next season and trying to get his head around who he can trust and which players maybe need to move on. So, yeah, I'm disappointing to lose. I think 2-0 slightly flattered Leeds. I don't think they were really that much better than us, but I don't think we could have expected to get on much from the game because we just didn't really have enough of a threat. Anyway, it was good to be at the game. The crowd were good fun, and looking forward to the next one. Come on, you Lions.
You wouldn't have heard the TV commentary, Glyn, being there. Well done for going, mate. But if you were judging by the Terry Gibson and his Oppo TV commentary, you were watching a latter day Brazil 1970, because everything that Leeds touched or did was awesome, and they couldn't wait to find fault with Millwall. I thought overall it was a good defensive performance, as we've said a few times, but unless you create chances and going, we didn't look any kind of danger going forward at all. So, plus the ball kept coming back to us in the second half when Leeds did turn the heat up on us. We were defending well. They weren't really getting that close, one or two moments, but we just kept giving the ball back to them, which is where maybe you might look at the likes of Ivanovic and Kundal, because if we're going to hit these players further forward, you really do want the ball to stick. I've mentioned Jensen already on the previous show. I'm not going to keep slating the boy. I think he's a good goalkeeper. There are flaws in his game, and I think that main flaw, which I think engenders a lack of confidence, is his ability to communicate, and he flaps. He has a slightly flappy quality coming out for crosses. That said, he's a brilliant shot stopper, and I refer anyone that wants to pick me up on my critique to the bullet header that he kept out at Watford on Saturday. So whether he's a long-term choice for the Mill goal, it's going to be an interesting question. We've invested in him, so that takes me back to the investment policy of wanting to play players that we put money into who maybe not necessarily the best. Also, it's going to be interesting to see what becomes of Liam Roberts at the end of the season. We'll see on that front. Currently suspended, of course. So yeah, good defensive performance, but a big but. We never created anything going forwards. And we're playing one of the best, if not the best team in this division. So there we are, dear listeners. That's enough about last night's match. I'm going to go Saturday. It's a 12:30 start. One of the reasons why many people won't be renewing their season ticket is the number of 12:30 starts. But I will be there. Stoke City at home. I think if we can't win that one, then it really is book your holidays and look to think about next season. If we win it, then it's a bit like a medical drama my wife watched. There's an American thing called New Amsterdam where they're kind of crowding around the patient, and there's a blip on the old heart monitor. The blip will continue for Millwall, even though we are wired up to the drips, and we've got major surgery going on as we breathe. Let's keep our fingers crossed for Saturday, dear listeners. There we are. That's enough from me, Nick Hart. Thanks, signing out. Big thank you to everyone for contributing. Big thank you to Michael for the previous show, and thank you to all the boys for those voice notes. Do keep them coming, listeners. Send me your thoughts, musings, and critiques after Saturday's home fixture versus Stoke City. But until then, from me, Nick Hart, it's Arrivederci Millwall. Bye for now.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.